Hi everybody, my name's Dan, and we're going to be talking about a Mark II Ruger 22 long rifle. I bought this gun 3 or 4 months ago, really cheap, and it's supposed to be a great gun, and I was really disappointed. The thing jammed all the time, and very inconsistently. I could run one kind of ammo through it, and thought, man, I found the trick, and then it would start jamming, and some other ammo that I had trouble with then would start working. It was really pissing me off. So I just wanted to share with all of you a few tricks that I found. It's nothing new. I definitely read about each and every one of these tricks online, and I was scared to death to try them. Probably just like you. You don't want to you don't want to file away at your handgun, especially something like this. So as far as how it was jamming, you name it. It would smokestack. Sometimes it wouldn't chamber all the way, but far enough that it would fire. So there'd be a little gap here, it would fire, and there'd be a huge explosion, right out the bolt here, blow the back end of the shell open. And it's really not that far. It won't fire unless, it's just that much gap. But maybe a little bit of a defect on Ruger's part. And then it would also, not even grab a shell on the way back in. Failure to load, I believe they call it. That's rednecks just say it screwed up. But anyway, here's what I found. First, when I would work this thing manually, I'd put a clip in and pull the bolt back, and as it would go forward, I could feel a ton of friction, and I could actually see it shaving off a layer off of the top of the round. Let me get this thing to focus for you. So the round would be like this, and it would cut right into that bullet and shave a layer off the top, and it would actually deform the bullet so that there was some friction as it went into the chamber. So I kind of went after that first, and I would also find on the bottom of the bullet, if I would shoot like 5 rounds real fast, crack, 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 and stop and take that bullet out of the chamber, I would also find it cut into the bottom of the bullet as well. So the bullet was getting pretty chewed up. So what I did, I'm going to go ahead and take this thing apart. If you've never taken one apart, it's a real treat. So the first thing you got to do is dry fire it, so make sure there's nothing in it. And then I always use a 22 shell, and you just grab this like that. Maybe that'll be the most valuable part of the video, I don't know. Everybody's got all kinds of different tricks, but there's one thing you always have laying around is 22 shells, that's for sure. So you take this guy out, and but this hammer, this bolt still won't come out because the hammer's up. So what you have to do is actually pull the trigger, and you'll hear it, or you won't, whatever. Come on, there we go. Turn it upside down, and then the hammer's got to be fully forward. Pull that out. So the first thing I did, I'm going to grab a flashlight and shine it in there. It'll be hard for me to show you because I only have 3 hands. I wish I had 4, but right here where my pointer's pointing, there's a nice sharp little edge. These guns are really nicely made. What's that guy on my feed ramp? They're really nicely made, but they have all these sharp edges, and I just filed just a little bit down, right around the chamber here, and then used some real fine sandpaper, sanded that down, and then used a Dremel with a polishing wheel and polished it right out. That really allowed the bullet to feed in at an angle a little more. So it comes up like this, and it just didn't didn't chew the bullet up so much as it went in. That was the thing I was most worried about. I was worried about taking a little bit off of there. I know there's a lot of pressure at the back of that shell. So if there's nothing holding that brass real tight at the back, I was worried about it blowing the back off of the bullet or something. I'm not an engineer, but, you know, I took the risk. I'd throw the thing in the trash if I was wrong. But the thing that I did that really made a difference is right here. This was very sharp. It was a perfect right angle. See if I can get this stupid thing to focus. There we go. So I just took a file and rounded that off and then polished it. Then I ended up polishing the whole entire thing here. So what that does is it grabs a new bullet, right? And as it comes forward, it's got to skim across the next bullet, and it just doesn't cut into that bullet anymore. There's still plenty of metal to grab the bullet and things. I haven't had any problems with that. I was worried about it, obviously, but I just made it a little smoother. Probably too much. I probably didn't need to do as much as I did. I just don't have the time to run to the range every time I tinker with it, and I don't live where I can just shoot out my back door right now, but I'd like to. Anyway, that was the first two things I did, and that made a huge improvement. I could shoot 3 clips and get one jam out of the whole thing. And sometimes a failure to feed as well. The other thing I did, and you've probably read about it if you're researching this problem, is right here you're going to see that I rounded off these lips on the magazines. If you're not sure why, when the bolt comes forward, maybe I can demonstrate. Let me see. When the bolt comes forward, there it grabs a new round, but and chambers it. Look at that. That was perfect. As it comes backwards, when those feed lips stick up, it actually ejects that shell before the thing's even fully out of the chamber. Causes it to do what we call smoke stacking. It just kind of rattles around inside of the chamber here, and ends up sticking out like this or something like that. So I went ahead and did that. I rounded those off on all my magazines, and man, it made a world of difference. Basically, I took my 7-year-old daughter out the other day and put at least 300 rounds through this thing non-stop, and it didn't even flinch. Used all 3 mags. It loved it. The last thing that I did, and I don't think this was necessary, I think this was just a cherry on top, is I took this magazine holder and just filed a little bit off of there, maybe 1/32 of an inch, just so that magazine just sat a little lower than it did before. The only reason I did that is as I was working it by hand, I could see that there was lots of room in there. That magazine had a lot of room. It could set lower and have no problem, so I went ahead and did that. So those 4 things, now I can shoot the crappiest Remington ammo ever, or this high quality Federal ammo, no problem. They all run through it. I'm kind of pissed at it, that I spent so much time on it. I expect more from Ruger, but now that it's done, I did polish that feed ramp too. But now that it's done, it's a great gun, very forgiving. I find it to be very forgiving now with whatever ammo I decide to run through it, and I don't have to worry about the bolt getting stuck, half out and blowing a knuckle off or something like that. So thanks for watching. Hopefully this was informative, and if you're having the same problems, I'd be happy to answer any questions or anything like that. I'm no expert. I'm not a machinist. I'm not a gunsmith, and you know, maybe in 2 months after shooting this thing, I'll regret everything I did or something for some odd reason. But all in all, so far so good. Thanks for watching.